am delighted to be here with my esteemed colleagues. Jeffret Wetherill, who is the director of the Instructional and Research Technologies team, and Professors Bernie Gee from Psychology and Leah Shafer from Media and Society. My task today is to just put a little context on why we're here and the project that we've done. Jeffrey and I both work together in the Library Learning Commons. Is this loud? It's too loud? It was fine. It was fine. I heard people. I saw people holding their ears. That's not a good sign.
You're good.
I'm good? Okay. This good? This good? Okay. So Jeffrey and I work together as directors in what we call the Library Learning Commons. And we got together and decided we wanted to collaborate for this year. And so what we did is we put out a call to faculty, our faculty and community, to participate in a faculty learning community. And we put out two topics that we generated in this initial year. One was today's Wired student, and the other one is not really important because nobody signed up for it. And so we did one faculty learning community this year, and we had 10 faculty. We started with 12 faculty, and from leaves and issues, we were down to 10. But we have been meeting together for the entire year. We meet every other week as a team, and we've been looking at technology for teaching and learning. So we've looked at national data, we've looked at studies, we've looked at research. We had a lot of really in-depth, phenomenal conversations, and then we got to this point where we said, okay, well, what is it here at Hobart and William Smith colleges? What does it mean for our students using technology in the classroom, and how do they think about it? And so we designed a survey from scratch as a team to give to the students on campus, and we launched it 10 days before spring break. And we have 2,100 students on campus, and we had 895 responses. So we had a very good response. We raffled off an iPad, which we're giving tomorrow to the winner. So it is truly a collaboration. The faculty learning community represents faculty from across the disciplines. We have faculty in German area studies, in media and society, in psychology, in English, French. We have 2 librarians. And a faculty member in philosophy as well. And we're here to present how that process worked and what some of our preliminary outcomes. Remember, it closed March 11th, and we have 200 pages of data, so this is very preliminary. So thank you for coming. Jeffrey.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the mechanics of how we put this together. So I want to show you actually the survey itself that we used. Basically, what we did was we solicited feedback from the faculty learning community to solicit questions. What are the kinds of question sets that we want to use? So as Susan mentioned, we developed this from scratch. We put the survey together. It was about 30 questions, and then we sent it out to a group of students, about 20 students, who then took the survey, and we asked them, how long did it take you? Do you have any suggestions about the survey? Is there anything unclear? Any suggestions you would make of the types of questions that you would want us to ask? And we gathered all of that data, so we made a second pass at the survey to refine it before we launched it on March the 1st. So I'm going to show you the actual questions, and I'm actually looking at one response of the 895 that we had. So I want you to see the kinds of questions that we were asking. So let's see if I can do this. So we asked what year they were at Hobart and William Smith, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5+. Which college they attended, whether they're Hobart for men or William Smith for women. What's your major? Which platform do you use most often to complete coursework and assignments, a Mac, a PC, or Linux? Which of the following do you own? Check all that apply, a desktop, laptop, tablet, iPad, netbook, or none? What's the primary device you use most often when completing coursework or assignments among that same group? Do you own a cell phone, a smartphone, internet-capable phone, or I do not own a phone? We actually had a student who said they didn't have one, so actually we had 2, I think. I think we had 2. If you own a phone, how often do you text per day on average? Do you have an unlimited texting plan? Do you own an MP3 player, iPod, or iPod Touch? In each column, select the top 3 technologies you used most often to communicate with friends, family, classmates, professors, and HWS staff. So, do you use a cell phone, a smartphone, texting, email, Blackboard, Facebook, Twitter, instant messaging, Skype, iChat, FaceTime, or other to communicate with any one of those various groups? How important are mobile devices in helping you to study or complete coursework? From not important to very important. Which of the following have you used as part of a course or an assignment? Again, check all that apply. Cell phone, a smartphone, texting, email, Blackboard, Facebook, Twitter, instant messaging, YouTube, Skype, iChat, FaceTime, or other. Based on your experience at HWS, would you want faculty to utilize technology more frequently, current amount, or less frequently? How confident are you about your ability to use the following technologies? So not at all confident to very confident of the following: email, PowerPoint, Word, and so on and so forth. Which of the following would you be interested in using as part of a course or assignment? Check all that apply. Cell phone, smartphone, texting, email, Blackboard, Facebook, Twitter, Skype, video editing, audio editing, image editing, Flash, RSS feeds, wikis and blogs, or other. How concerned are you about privacy issues when using technology for coursework? Not at all concerned to the very concerned. In your decision to attend HWS, how influential were the following available technologies? From not at all influential to very influential: computer labs, the availability of wireless internet in residence halls, our website, PC Mac availability, smart technology-rich classrooms, IT help desk support, and cable TV in residence halls. Does the availability of technology at HWS influence your decision to remain and complete your degree? This is a question I really wanted to camp on. Does technology influence retention? Please provide at least 2 examples of specific technologies that have enhanced your learning experience in HWS and why. Would you like to see faculty use social networking sites for courses and assignments? If social networking were integrated in course and assignment, what issues should faculty be considering? The same question again about the use of mobile devices as a part of academic life, and what issues should faculty be considering? Have you used Blackboard for any of your classes? What best describes your feelings about Blackboard? What do you want faculty to know about using technology for teaching and learning? If you could have anything you wanted technology-wise at HWS now and in the next 5 years, what would you want and how would you envision it being used? And are there any additional comments or suggestions you'd like to share regarding technology at HWS? And then question 30, they were to enter their email address if they wanted to be entered for the draw for the free iPad. I will say 2 things about this just for context as well. A number of these questions had a text box at the bottom of them if they wanted to provide additional information, and they certainly did do that, which is why Susan mentioned we came up with nearly 200 pages of data. So we had a lot of raw data feedback to a number of these questions. And the other thing that was really interesting as a part of this journey was this was truly a cross-discipline, across the institution feedback. Everybody had sort of a different set of eyes of what they wanted to know about technology of our students, and it was really helpful to kind of have that ongoing dialogue and have the various input regarding the kinds of questions that we wanted to ask of students. So, from there, what about the results of the survey?
So obviously we haven't gone through all 200 pages of these results. We just started to sift through them, so we don't have the results for all 30 of these survey questions, but we want to present to you what we have so far, and some demographics here. Like we said, we had a huge turnout for this survey, 895 students out of 21 total students, and we had a nice spread of participation across the class year. And Hobart and William Smith is actually 2 different colleges. Hobart College consists of the male college, and the William Smith College consists of the female college, and that is the breakdown of the participants between the 2 colleges. What kind of computers do they prefer? Well, a little over half of them prefer Macintosh, and a little under half of them prefer PCs. And the majority, 85% of them, own laptops versus other types of computer types. Do they own MP3 players? Emphatically yes. Over 90% of them do. And except for a couple students that do not own cell phones, the rest of them do. And over half of them own just your regular cell phone versus the smartphones, which are 43% of the participants. How often do they text? Well, they text a whole bunch. Almost half of them text over 20 times per day. I don't think I get that amount of text personally in a whole month. So these students text quite a bit, and that's reflected in the type of texting plans for their phones. Most of them have unlimited texting plans. We asked them what types of technologies that's worked for them at the college, and these are the top 10 technologies that we've gotten from this survey. And by far, Blackboard is a ubiquitous type of technology that I'll talk a little bit more about in the next couple slides. But as you can see, it's something that is prominent in their academic lives. And just to define some of these categories, these categories weren't the checkmark categories that were on some of the questions. This was actually an open-ended question. So there was some ambiguity as far as categorizing some of their responses. Obviously, if they said Blackboard, that's easy to categorize. Or if they said something like they want to use the campus computer labs. But something like projector, that's kind of a catch-all for either displaying videos in class, using PowerPoint or the smartboard, or some type of projection screen in the classroom. Okay, so that was hard to kind of pick apart into separate categories, but there was definitely themes like PowerPoint, showing YouTube videos, documentaries, other types of movies and videos and stuff like that. Emails is specific to communicating academically. They said that emailing to the professors is kind of the primary mode of communication between student and professors for that. And internet access has to do with being able to access Wi-Fi either on their laptops or on their cell phones, wherever they are on campus. And library services is also kind of a catch-all. It was hard to sort this type of category out. But I decided to categorize things such as actual real-life librarian, databases, whether it's online or whether they're at the library, and other types of miscellaneous services that are associated with a library, excluding any type of computer use, and I associated any computer labs in the actual library in this category here. Okay, so that's the distinction that I've made, but we may look at this data slightly differently as we go. We also asked them a slightly different question about what types of technologies would they be open to or interested in their coursework, in classes or assignments, and this is the percent response for all of these. Again, they could check as many possibilities as they want. That's why these don't add up to 100%. Blackboard and email are one of the top remarks from these responses, and really kind of the overall gist that I've got from this data is that they're really not pulled into like the sheen and the glitz of technology in and of itself, but they're really interested in if it's going to really work and make their job easier or better for some learning or academic usage of this. Okay, so they're really utilitarian when it comes to their choices about technology. So we asked some specific questions about Blackboard, and we had this open-ended question, what are your exact feelings? And the ones that were very positive, they said that it was good. It just works, and they weren't super ecstatic about Blackboard. The ones that were negative, some of them were very frustrated, and some of them were just like, well, I just don't really use it that much. The neutral and mixed category had two major comments to it, and the neutral ones were basically saying, well, I don't really love it, but I don't really hate it. So they're just kind of lukewarm to it, but it's there. The mixed ones, they were more of in the sense of saying, well, I really hate some aspects of it, and I really love some aspects of it. So, leave Leah to discuss the rest of the results.
So I thought one of the things that was most interesting to me was the actual sort of responses that the students put in the text boxes. So I thought that I would give you a kind of taste of the kind of answers and sort of summarize a little bit of what we found and what we're starting to read from what the students are saying. For the most part, I think that students tend to think about what technology means as, in terms of thinking of themselves as technology consumers. And I think this creates a kind of interesting split. The questions I'm going to talk about have to do with social networking and mobile phone use for the most part, and they really felt that there should be a distinction between their private lives and their intellectual lives. Now, I think that with some work and with integrating those kinds of things into their coursework, in fact, some of the people we've seen presenting earlier today have presented us with models that could actually make this change, but for the most part, they really see those as separate fields. The things that they really seem to be interested in having faculty do is they want faculty to be consistent in their use of technology. They're really interested in technology providing them with conveniences, and they want to safeguard their privacy. So this first question, would you like to see faculty use social networking sites for courses and assignments? A resounding no for the most part in their comments, or in the words of one student, no, 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 all caps. Several people said that's creepy, quote. And so, you know, my sense again is that students tend to emphasize social over networking and feel that their use of social networking sites should remain private or social or fun and should be restricted to those kinds of activities. My sense is that part of this is a symptom of Facebook's lock on the phrase social networking. And they seem to really only think about social networking as something that is related to Facebook use. Further, they were really concerned about privacy and unhappy about the sort of idea of blending what's going on in the classroom with what's going on in their lives. Here are a few of their comments. I believe that social networking sites are better utilized and meant for socializing. I thought this next comment was very interesting. That the idea of social networks is a network, whereas there's a kind of hierarchy in the classroom. And this was one of the sort of most articulate answers that a student gave for thinking about what the way that divide works. And this is something that I think as faculty we hadn't really thought through. So I thought this was pretty perceptive. And then lastly, some students really think it is working. And I think the key, and this is something that Bernie was talking about a little bit, is that when faculty use and integrate these technologies into their classwork in a consistent manner, then students are really interested in doing them. So in this particular digital networks class, they are integrated into the entire coursework. So the next question, if faculty were to use mobile devices in courses and assignments, what issues should they be considering? This was one of the questions I really pushed for because we do a lot of studying of mobile technologies and what this means for communications and media studies. So I thought, well, we really should be integrating this into the classroom. For the most part, the students, again, were seeing their mobile phones as something very personal. And they were not thinking of ways that they could apply that to their classroom experiences. Certainly, there was a lot of anxiety expressed on the part of the students in terms of their ability to stay focused in class if they had their phones out. And a lot of the answers, some of them that you see here, reflect that anxiety. I thought that be prepared for 1 a.m. texts from students was a pretty funny answer, but I think it also reflects a reality about the way that they use mobile technologies. Again, the sort of separation between the personal world and the professional world, I think is something that we can spend more time in our group thinking about, because to my mind, intellectual work at its best should be somewhat personal, right? And so it seems to me that the kind of consumer model that students think about technology having to do with something that you purchase really complicates the issue of thinking about the way that this relates to what we're doing as faculty. The last question I have some explicit answers from the students on is, what do you want faculty to know about using technology for teaching and learning? A lot of frustrations from students about faculty members who are not able to correctly or quickly use the technologies. A lot of people say, well, when you spend 20 minutes watching your professor try to get the video player to work, you're wasting our time. And so there were many people who said this. Though I thought there were certainly comments about students who were very excited about the use of technology and what was happening in their classrooms. It is the way of the future. If we're going to be the future leaders of this country, we need to know how to use it, and this is why it should be integrated. And again, they want it to be contributing to something meaningful. I don't think any of this is shocking information, but I think really seeing it in the voices of the people who are asking to use these technologies and think about them in relationship to the way that they're being educated, I think it's very useful to see their language about it and to begin thinking as educators about what we can then do to facilitate growth in the way that they're thinking about these, because we think about it, but we need to push them. So, to sum up, there are a lot of ways that we are planning on using this data. There are certainly applications for infrastructure. If 93% of the students have laptops, then when we're changing the way that the library is set up, do we really need all that space for desktops, or should we be providing more places for things to be plugged in, for example? Planning, pedagogical considerations. I know that if I had a classroom where every student could be online during class, that would be fabulous for me. Next, we are going to be presenting this data once it is analyzed back to the students, faculty, and the Board of Trustees, and we are going to publish the material.
Question: 90% of the students have laptops. What percentage bring them to class or bring them to the library? And I think that would be, as I look at our experience, we have, I think, based on repairs and things, probably a similar ratio of laptops to desktops. But I don't see 90% of the students bringing them to class or even to the library. The library still loans out a number of laptops. I think that would be some information to look for, as you say, as you're planning for infrastructure.
I think that's relevant. Certainly different faculty members have different policies about people bringing them to class, which would affect that, but I think I don't see them lugging them around.
Does Hobart and William Smith have some place where students can go, a lab of some sort, where if they didn't know how to use certain hardware or software, they could go and learn?
We do have a robust instructional technology staff.
With labs.
We have to move on to the next presentation now, but I'm sure the presenters will be happy to continue this discussion and answer more questions at the end of the session.